is going on? Hope you enjoyed the new a little intro for the video. I was trying to make it a little bit more exciting, adding some of my music in and walking in on the intro like it's super cool, but it's really not. Anyway, today's story. I wanted to discuss Rabbi Nachman's birth, but I think I'm going to leave that for the last video of this week, which is uploaded on Thursday. So I'm starting to upload videos, new videos, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. 2 stories in each video. This week's story, today's story, one of them comes from the Otzer Pnini Chassidic pamphlets, which are amazing. Started coming out in the last few years. I haven't really got any new ones because they stopped selling them or giving them out wherever I was, wherever I live. You can get them in email, but I like having it in pamphlets so I could read it out on Shabbos, you know what I mean? I don't like printing out like 100 pages. And they have amazing stories in the back that have to do with certain inyanim that have to do with this week's parsha. So, for example, this pamphlet is Parsha Shalach, which is this week's parsha in Israel. I think in America you guys are 1 week behind if you're watching it from the US. So the back of it has inyanim that have to do with tzitzis, because in Shalach it talks about tzitzis at one point. Does it talk about tzitzis at one point? I need to learn more Torah, man. Like, for real, it's posh, not a joke. Yes, it talks about tzitzis. It's really not a joke. They make us learn our whole lives, but they never teach us chumash, really. Okay, yalla. Forget the stupidities. Let's learn this story. So this story is called Being Saved from the Day of Judgment. It says over here. In the Beis Medrash of Harav HaKadosh, Rabbi Lezer Medizikov, Zechusim Yagin Aleinu, who was the son of Harav HaKadosh, Rabbi Naftali of Rapshitz. He was the son of the Rapshitzer. So obviously, he was a very holy Yid. There was a Jew who used to have this custom that he did not talk at all when his tallis was on his head. Any time that he was wrapped in his tallis, or he was wearing his tallis, even if he didn't have tefillin on, maybe at the end of davening, or when he was taking off his tefillin, he was just sitting in his tallis and learning, or whatever, he would not speak at all with his tallis on. And this was his minhag all the years. And everybody else in the shul used to laugh, and they used to poke fun and be like, "Yeah, uncle, what are you doing?" It doesn't say anywhere to do this. What are you going to make up a chumrah for yourself? Who are you? You're a big rebbe, all those types of things probably. But he never answered them, and he just ignored them, and he did his thing, and he did not speak when his tallis was on. So one day the Rebbe came over to him, Rabbi Lezer came over to him, and he said to him, "What's the story with this minhag over here, right? That you don't talk in your tallis?" And the Rebbe asked him to tell him the story. And the guy saw, obviously, it's not possible to not answer the Rebbe. When the Rebbe comes over to you, you answer. He said to him, "Okay, fine," and he started telling him the story, and he told him the secret. He said like this. He said, "When I got married, and I was standing under the chuppah, right, an idea came into my head." See, I actually took a few screenshots because the story's divided up into 3 pages, and I combined them into one PDF. Super duper technological stuff happening over here in our new videos. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I just got a very important phone call that I needed to pick up. So I just put the video on pause for a second. I'm really sorry. Anyway, so the Rebbe came and he said to him, "Tell me your secrets." He said, "Okay, fine. This is why I do not speak in my tallis." He said, "When I was getting married and I was standing under the chuppah, so when you're standing under the chuppah, it's a very holy time. You're supposed to daven. You're supposed to pray for people. There's different inyanim. You could say names of tzaddikim. That's what I did. There's different things to do, but it's a very holy time, and everybody's always thinking about different things. This guy obviously was standing under his chuppah, and he had an idea that came to his head. He said, a chassin, on the day of his wedding, right, they forgive all of his sins. And right now, he's a pure man, and he's clean from all sins, right? And he's like a new baby, like he has a clean slate. Im kain hari ze matzav tov ma'oid v'noyim liyos b'lichet. It's a good matzav to be without sin, right? Obviously, it's always good to be without sin. But he kept on thinking, well, what's going to happen now when I get married and all these years are going to come, right? He's for sure going to end up sinning something. So how is he going to stand in front of the Beis Din Shalmala, right, with his sins? This guy was thinking about how is he going to stand in front of the Beis Din Shalmala. It's a pretty wild thought, you know. So he wanted to think of an eitzah that he could do, so that he could be clean from all the sins and to be saved from punishment. And this is what this guy was thinking about under the chuppah. It's not so far out, you know. But then he went a little bit further, and he said, I was thinking under the chuppah kol hazman, and it was bothering me. Mahala echi, like what's it going to be, you know, further on in my life? And he said that I decided that in my head, that he basically took upon himself that he's not, that whenever he's wearing a tallis, he will not talk, right? So I thought that this guy was actually wearing a tallis under the chuppah, which some people do. I don't know if it's a Hasidic minhag, but maybe this guy wasn't, or it's a different minhag, whatever. So he said tomorrow. So he told the Rebbe that tomorrow after the chasna, when he put on his tallis for the first time, he did not speak on it. He decided that he's not going to speak in his tallis. But how is this going to exactly save him from the Beis Din Shalmala? So he says like this. So he says, and the reason that I did this thing with the tallis, right? Okay, so you don't speak in your tallis, but what does that have to do with not sinning? You know what I mean? How is that going to save you? Just because you wore a tallis? You know, anybody could wear a tallis. So he said, the reason why I did this, not to speak inside a tallis, is so that the minog bichul likbor niftarim ma'utav betalis. I don't know why he says the minog in chul is to likbor niftar ma'utav betalis. Even in Eretz Yisrael, they also bury people in a talis. So I don't know why it specifies chul, which is chutz la'aretz. But whatever, okay. V'lechein kish'ove lebeis din shamale achrei 120 shana be'ezrat Hashem. And he says that when he's going to come in front of the Beis Din Shalmala after 120 years, right, and they're going to start hacking him up, and they're going to start investigating him on all of the things that he did, and they're going to judge me, and they're going to say, and they are going to ask me all types of questions on why did you do this, and why did you do this, and why did you do this sin, and all that. So he's going to say, I'm going to show them with my hands that I do not talk in a tallis, and I'm not able to answer them. And so therefore, I hope that I will be able to escape the punishments of the Beis Din and come out clean. Right? This was my thought under the chuppah. That's how I thought. Because since his whole entire life he didn't wear a tallis, since his whole entire life he did not speak while wearing a tallis. So he went in his head, Yiddish cup, that when he is going to be buried in a tallis, he won't talk either. So when he gets up to Shemayim, he'll be wearing a tallis, and he's gonna say, I can't talk, I can't answer you. Obviously he's not gonna say it, but he's gonna motion with his hands, whatever this stuff means, and therefore he'll be saved from din. It's a very, very pashut, interesting way of looking at things. A lot of hope for this guy. It's very cool, very pshitas and tmimis. It reminds me of a story actually that I one time heard with Rabbi Fry. Like, there's different inyanim. Rabbi Nachman talks about the inyan of pshitas, of being very simple, and he always used to say that he was mekana and ish pashut, someone who was also an erel chiriyid. Simple people who do simple things, simple people who every day after davening open up a Sefer Tehillim and say Tehillim, without fail, or somebody who just sings Zemiros at their Shabbos table, like, just like out of simplicity, just like, this is what you do because you're a Jew, And I remember hearing a story, I think from Rabbi Freifeld, that there was a lady who used to kiss her sitter inside the sitter every time she came across the word Hashem. And, like, I think also people were making fun of her, or people were like, where's this minute come from? And Rabbi Freifeld was like, nah, this is one of the holiest things in the world, People do special things, simple things that we do not know how to measure what will be, what they are thinking about us in Shemayim over there. But it's always good to do simple things, I think. So he told the Rebbe this simple thought, this little simple plan out of Pshitas and Tmimus. So Rabbi Elazar, the Rebbe obviously did not tell the story to anybody from the shul. But then came the day that this Jew died, and he went on to the next world. And then Rabbi Elazar of Zidikov he told everybody in the shul, V'amar lehem, all the time that you guys were making fun of this guy and his little strange minhag, you should know that it says, right? He told them that all the time that you guys were thinking about this, you didn't know what he was doing. You should know that even though it was a strange minhag, you should know that I am sure that this thing that he did helped him out a lot. And he knew. He somehow knew, because he's a Rebbe, that this guy came out clean from the Beis Din Shamala, right? Because of the fact that he did not speak all these years inside his Tallis, so his plan worked. Right? I think that's what he's saying, right? He's saying, B'amar lehem shekol zman atem zilzaltem b'hisnagusei hamuzrav u'reisim b'hasanuz ha'dover yetz minchal d'u lechem shani b'tuach b'zeh she'etz lo tzich moed. The Rebbe was sure of it. I don't know if he knew that what was going on over there by his specific din, but the Rebbe was sure that this is going to help him. And then the Rebbe finished off. Ein li tzel shel safek. I don't have any doubt that this Jew was matzliach in his to be saved from the Beis Din Shamala, from the punishments over there. But the biggest pella in my eyes is that eich shebacher oimed mitachas l'chupasoi b'yom chupasoi yale olav. That somebody who's standing under his chuppah comes up with these types of thoughts. People are thinking, I want to have a good marriage, I want to have shalom bayis, children, different things like that. And this guy was already thinking about 90 years later. So not so much pshitis, but this guy, the inyan that he was doing was out of pshitis stam. And that's the highest level. So that's why it's the best. He said, and zeh pela gadol beinai. And this is a very big wonder in my eyes. So that's also just a cool story, It's cool. I know people who do not talk at all on Shabbos. They don't talk in their tefillin. They're really machbet on these types of things. It's very interesting. It's not so easy to do at all, to try and stay silent. But it's one of the holier things that you can do. I think there's the Indian also in Breslov not to speak the first night of Rosh Hashanah in Uman, because that's the night of Din. So a lot of people won't talk at all. Like, you'll go over to them and they just won't talk to you. I talk. It's a big problem. I make a lot of late sanas over there. But we gotta, you have to keep cheering people up also. It's good to talk, sichs chaverim, different things like that. So, but I really like that story. And hopefully we can all think like that guy. Try to do good things with any ideas that we can have. Anyway, next story. This is a short story. Comes from a sefer called Siach Sarfei Kodesh, which is also an awesome, amazing Breslov sefer, which is 8 volumes. They actually just came out with a new 3-volume edition of it, because this one has some mistakes in it, and not everything is 100% confirmed. There's a lot of history with the Sefer. Anyway, it goes through a lot of also Breslov Messiah. I might translate it one day. I want to, because it has amazing stuff in it. But in the back of Chelik Ches, which is the last Chelik, they have some Sipurei Tzadikim. And this story is really good, because we haven't really spoken about anyone Litvish yet. So this story has to do with the Chofetz Chaim. So, the Chofetz Chaim and Rabbi Avram Mordechai of Ger, as you saw, I spoke in the first video about the Gerrer Rebbe's already. The Chofetz Chaim and Rabbi Avram Mordechai of Ger, who was the Imrei Emes, I think he was the fourth Rebbe of Ger, were one time traveling together on a train. And at each stop, there was waiting hundreds and hundreds of Jews that wanted to welcome and see their faces. V'noyeg hoya Rebbe zatzal la'amoid b'chaloin likras aboyim, and the Rebbe, the Gerrer Rebbe, would stand up by the window when they were approaching the station, so that everybody could see him, right? They could wave at them, and they could have chizik and whatever, right? However, the Chofetz Chaim did not stand up, and he sat in his place. V'shol Chofetz Chaim es a Rebbe, and then the Chofetz Chaim asked him, I guess in between stops, how are you? Why are you standing by the window? You're taking too much kavod. He was tining on him, the Chofetz Chaim, saying, who are you? You know, like, you're a Rebbe. I'm saying, yeah, you're a Rebbe, but what's all this kavod? You know. So the Rebbe says, Kvar, this is something so deep. He says, Kvar mizman hifkarnu es atzmenu kedi lasis toiva li Yehudi. He says, we already made ourselves hefker a long time ago, just so that we could do something good for a Jew. That is a very wild thing. The Rebbe said that they make themselves hefker for Yid, that whatever a Yid needs, he can go to the Rebbe. Rebbes don't lead normal lives. They don't come home from shul on Friday night at 8:30 and sit down with their families. They are doing avodah. They are talking to Yidden. They are dealing with problems all the time. I don't know about Rebbes, not every Rebbe. Well, that's a different conversation, but there are some very holy people out there for sure that are involved in many inyanim, not just with giving a tish, but also with saving Jews out of situations that we should never know about. And they get themselves involved, and their mamish make themselves hefker for other Yidden, which is unbelievable, right? So he's saying that they're coming to be happy and to see the Rebbe. So we should at least make them happy. So the Chofetz Chaim really liked what he said, and he also stood in the chalon at the next stop, so that a Jew could see the Chofetz Chaim and the Gerrer Rebbe together and to be happy. So that's also very cool, man. I don't know, it's just a very special story, The Indian of the Rebbe's being mafker themselves for people, that they're available to talk to you and different things like that. I'm not really talking about nowadays, I'm talking about more back then, but also nowadays there's definitely people who are out there who will take the time, who have their phones on 24 hours a day, even on Shabbos. They don't call themselves Rebbes, but they're definitely helping out people who need help. And that is all for today. I will see you guys on Thursday. Thank you again to everybody who's watching.